Thursday. Happy hump day. I hope you guys are having an amazing week so far. This week, we're going to be talking about robbery. In particular, the stealing of information and resources. So, you might be wondering why the dramatic title. Like, robbery just seems like a lot. And maybe even how it relates to you. And the answer is that you, my friend, might be a thief. The type of thief that doesn't even know how much they're stealing or that they're even stealing at all. So the question now becomes, are you a thief? So there are a few qualifiers for being a thief with regards to this episode. And if you fit into any of them, which you probably will, because me, myself, I've come to this conclusion and it broke my heart, which is why I'm sharing it with you guys. I know that I'm a thief to some extent, and maybe you guys are too. So I wanted to bring this your way to maybe help you get out of this robbery phase of your life and give in the way that you're supposed to. So, if you're not doing everything in your power to get your message, your work, your product to the people who need it the most, then the answer is yes, you're a thief. One more time. If you're not doing everything in your power to get your message, your work, your product to the people who need it the most, then you, my friend, are a thief. If you have love, passion, excitement in you, and you've decided that you do not want to share it for any plethora of reasons, you're probably a thief. If you've made it through the fire and you don't smell like smoke, or you've even made it through the fire and you do smell like smoke, or you did smell like smoke and you managed to get all of the soot off of yourself, yet you see other people burning and you're not helping them, then you're a thief. You're a thief because you're robbing people of resources, necessary resources to their lives, things that you've learned, you've made it through, you possess that you have to give. And for whatever reason, you're hoarding that information, that access, that passion, that love to no benefit and to no end. You know, it's one thing for it to not be of a benefit in this moment, but if you have no intention of doing more, then it's to no end. You're just keeping this information that has helped you through the toughest moments of your life, that have propelled you to a higher level in life, and you're not giving it to the people who need it. So that means you're robbing them of opportunity and information, which therefore makes you a thief. And I know that you guys might think that the word thief is so dramatic. And I'm not going to sit here and deny the fact that it is dramatic and that it's a little bit over the top. And that there are also many different ways that I could have put this, right? I could have just said, you're depriving people. But maybe if I put it in such a stark, serious way, you'll understand the magnitude of the importance of this work that you need to do. And maybe that will be the motivation you need to share your work, to put yourself out there, and to stop robbing people of what you have to offer. So if you believe that the life you're living and the work that you're doing is greater than you and greater than just being for yourself personally, then you also have to acknowledge the ability, or actually you have to acknowledge the responsibility that you have to ensure that you get that work out there in whatever capacity you can as soon as you can. Because if it's greater than you, then you know that there's really no reason for it to be stuck with you. And the longer it stays stuck with you, the longer it's taking you to fulfill the purpose behind your work, which is to share it and give it out and put it out there, you know? And in acknowledging that responsibility of ensuring that you get your work out there in whatever capacity you can, it's impossible for you to deny that any delay, any unnecessary delay, is a form of robbery. Because if this is your responsibility, this is what you've been put on this earth to do, and for whatever reason you've decided that you do not want to do it, you're not fulfilling your end of the bargain. You're not doing what's required of you. There's something inside of you that needs to be given. You're the delivery man, and you're not shipping the work to the people who it's meant to be for. Right? And I I've spoken about this a few times in different episodes, that a lot of times the way I see our purpose is that we are given a gift from God, and we are the delivery man of that gift. So it's not a matter of, oh, I don't feel like it. I don't know if this is the right thing to do. Your responsibility is to send that package to its destination at all costs. Could you imagine if the Canada Post or UPS guy decided that he didn't want to send the package to you that had your name on it, and he decided to hold on to it? One, you'd be pissed. And second, you'd be like, you're a thief. And third, you'd be like, what does it have to do with you? That's not your job. Your job is to put it out there, right? So think of yourself as that middleman. So every time you decide not to take your responsibility and take that information you have and give it to the people who need it, you're denying them, and that's robbery, and therefore you're a thief. So I know this is light and heavy at the same time. And I did that on purpose because I don't want to nag you guys. I don't like to be nagged. But at the same time, I also feel it's very important, if we're here to learn something, to talk about the real things that we need to learn and be blunt and straightforward about it, so that I can give you guys the information that's helping me be the best version of myself and helping propel me and grow me to the levels that I want to be, because I know you guys want the same things for yourself, right? So there are people who are waiting for what you have to offer. Let me say that one more time. There are people who are waiting for what whoever is on the other end of my voice, it's what you have to offer, not what somebody else has to offer, not their story that's kind of similar to you. It's what you exactly have to offer. And they need it as soon as possible. We don't live in a bubble. No man is an island. We are all interconnected. So there is a responsibility in acknowledging the fact that we are a domino effect. Some of the things you're going to do are going to trigger something in somebody else. You may not change the world, but you may be the person who says the word to the person that activates them to change the world, which, if you're asking me, is a huge responsibility, right? So if there are people who are waiting for what you have to offer and they need it, we cannot afford to delay and deprive them of it. You need to take this extremely, extremely seriously. And the moment that you do, that's when that shift begins. Once you realize that what you have to give is bigger than you and you can't afford to delay, the shift begins. It becomes easier, it becomes a little clearer. And I'm not going to sit here and act as if there aren't legitimate reasons as to why you may be a thief, because there are. And some of the legitimate reasons that come to mind for me are, maybe you're scared. You're scared of doing this thing. You've been thinking about it over and over, and you're scared to jump. You could be scared to give love to somebody because you've experienced heartbreak in the past. You've experienced rejection in the past. You're not confident in yourself. You don't know if this thing you're doing is going to lead to where you want it to. And that fear of maybe potentially failure has you paralyzed from even making a move, right? And if that's one of the legitimate reasons why you're a thief, I'd say go listen to my 5-minute mind shift on fear. It could really help you out with that. Another legitimate reason could be that you're waiting for perfection. You have this work, you have this idea, you have this message, but you don't think it's the right time yet. Maybe I need to wait a little longer. I need to get a few more things in place. I'm not there yet. There's no such thing as perfection. There's no such thing as the right time, because we have the grace to course correct as we go. As we move and we start to do the things we're meant to do, more clarity appears. There's something about taking that first step that opens up the door for us to see the rest of the staircase as far as we need to get to the next level. And then once we get there, things show up again. So that's another one. We could be waiting for perfection. I don't have the money yet. I don't have the resources yet. I don't think I'm good enough, right? Another reason is that you may feel like you're not an expert. And this is the one that I'd say really kicks my butt when it comes to sharing my work. Feeling like you don't know enough about the field you're in, or you don't have enough knowledge to be speaking on the matter. If you didn't go to medical school, I would say don't do open heart surgery for someone, right? But if you're speaking on something that your life experiences and maybe not a textbook have given you enough insight into, don't let that get in your way. And I understand that a lot of times we feel like we need the accolades, we need the degrees, we need the certificates, we need the MBAs and the masters and the PhDs in order for us to be speaking on things. And that could be a reason why we hold back, because we don't feel qualified enough. And that just leads into the fourth reason, which is imposter syndrome. A lot of times we don't feel like we belong there for whatever reason. We don't feel we're good enough. We don't feel we're educated enough. We don't feel we're powerful enough or the right person to hold the mantle or share whatever it is we want to share. And one thing to note is that just because I said they are legitimate does not mean that they justify an action. One more time, just because a reason is legitimate, that does not mean that it justifies inaction. In order to achieve the level of impact that you're meant to, and therefore capable of, you have to get to the point where your responsibility comes before all of the ego, self-driven justifications as to why you can't do it. That's where the shift takes place. I'm never going to say that there won't be legitimate reasons, because there will always be a legitimate reason, or maybe a plethora of legitimate reasons as to why you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. That little voice of doubt is really good at its job, and it gets ridiculously loud and pushes us to justify for us to stay wherever we are. But that's not what we need to do. You need to get to the point where that responsibility, the fact that you've decided you do not want to be a thief or a hoarder of information that could help other people, because you don't want to be the only one who's learned from your experiences. If your experience, the thing that was your lowest moment that you managed to pull yourself out of, if you could take that lesson and stop someone from having to go through that lowest point that you did, wouldn't you want to do that? Like, I just think about the times in my life where things were so difficult and tough, and the unnecessary time I wasted on doing things the wrong way, or having an ego, or being an island. And I look at where I've gotten to now, and I don't wish it on anybody. And if I don't wish it on anybody, I also have to be able to share so that anybody who may be going through it can hear my story and avoid a lot of the time I spent in the trenches, because they don't have to do it. Because maybe the purpose why I went through it is so that I can share with other people. And before they get that low, they'll hear whatever message I have to give, and they'll be able to pull themselves out of it, right? So we have to get to that point where your responsibility comes before everything else. It comes before your ego. So not feeling like you're good enough, and all of the fear, and all of the I need to be at a certain level, and all of the justifications that can keep you from not doing it. So in order to get out of thievery, there are 3 things that you need to do. And these are tested. I've spoken to other people about it, and they've agreed with me as well. This is what I've done and what I continue to do, because as I told you, I still to some extent hoard my work, and I'm still robbing people of the things that they need, but I'm working on it, and this is how I work on it. The first step is to heal. This is what you do for yourself and others, because if you don't heal, there are certain traumas that you go through that when you get to the part where you heal and where you give, they will be so beneficial to others. But you can't get to that place where you're giving until you've gotten over the extent that that situation has a stronghold on you. An example for me, as you guys know, like I talk about 2019 often, and how it was a pivotal year in taking me from rock bottom to where I am now. And I decided to tell you guys and explain it to you in 2020, because if I had tried to tell you about it while I was in the thick of it, you probably wouldn't hear me over the tears, and my tears would probably short circuit this mic because I wasn't there yet. now when I look back at it and I use my story as a gift to other people, as a way to give motivation, I can do that because I had healed and I continue to heal to a certain level that allows me to be able to share. There are some stories that we have that will be used to change the world. It will be the catalyst to people becoming what they need to be. It will help them in so many different ways, but you need to heal yourself first. I'm never going to be a proponent of sharing your hardships when you're still going through them and you haven't processed it yourself. That could be way more traumatic. That can lead you to more fear, and that can lead you to continue to hoard more information, because that anxiety of putting yourself out there when you're not ready is one that can have many adverse effects. So the first thing you need to do is heal. Like, I know I'm all here for giving to others, but you need to also give to yourself first and foremost, because when you are at a good place, you give better quality to others. When your cup is overflowing and you give from your overflow, people get more abundance than if you're giving from an empty cup, right? So the first thing you need to do is heal. The second thing you need to do is be confident in starting where you are. As I said, you need to course correct as you go. There is no reason to hinder yourself with perfection. There are so many things that I've done in the past year that when I initially started them, I thought they were good, but now looking back, they were trash. But the only reason I have the grace to be able to look back is because I moved farther than the beginning. If I hadn't moved farther than the beginning, I wouldn't be able to look back and see that the beginning is not good. So instead of spending time worrying yourself about being perfect, continue to go and course correct as you go along. Look at all of these great companies that we love. I've been seeing a lot of pictures of logos of companies from the first time when they first built their company to now. And if they had said, oh, our logo's not perfect, so we can't put our stuff out there, we wouldn't have the Nikes, we wouldn't have the Apples, we wouldn't have the Instagrams. And that's because they started moving. So if you don't want to be a thief of information and resources, start where you are. If you have a message, but you can't afford a domain, put it on Instagram for now. There's a lot of free resources available to us that technology has blessed us with. You don't want to start making YouTube videos yet because the editing is daunting. Start a weekly Instagram story or IGTV post where you discuss the topics, and maybe later when it gains enough traction, you might feel that it's time for you to move on. But start where you are. Don't say, I have this message, but it has to be on YouTube, and because I don't have editing skills or because I don't have time to edit, I'm just gonna hoard my message. That's being a thief, and that's not what we want to do. So start where you are is number 2. The third and final way to get out of thievery and stop being a robber is to commit to being consistent to your cause regardless. Commit to being consistent to your cause regardless. This is not a numbers game. Impact is not a numbers game. Impact is an impact game. I don't know how else to put it. It's not about how many people you touch or how many followers you have or anything like that. It's not a validation game, because half of the time you're not going to hear back from people. I have been posting this podcast. This is episode 93 plus 2 bonus episodes, 95 episodes. And I kid you not, I can maybe count on both hands how many different people have told me the impact this podcast has had on them. But based on my numbers, I'm seeing that it's having more impact than that. And even when I don't see that it's having more impact than that, I'm okay with creating an episode that will touch one person and activate change in them if that's the purpose of the work. I'm not going to sit around and wait until I have 1 million people listening every single week and then start dropping the gems. I'm going to drop the gems as they come to me. If I get a great idea, I'm going to drop it. If one person listens that week, fine. Maybe that one person is the one person it was meant for, and the purpose is done. And that's why you need to be committed to being consistent to your cause. especially in the start, because in the start is when you're not seeing anything. You're not hearing the accolades, you're not seeing the rewards. You have a few friends who support you, and maybe they even dwindle down because life, right? So you need to continue to ship your work regardless. And I say ship your work because I have been reading Mr. Godin's book, The Practice. I think I've spoken about it in a few episodes prior, but I'm going to post it again. It is amazing. It talks to you about the importance of getting your work out there and shipping your creative work. And shipping your work is, as I said, the mailman analogy, getting your work out there, giving it to the people regardless, right? And when you're dedicated to doing this, you're dedicated to doing what you're responsible for. Your responsibility is to give the message. Who receives the message, how many people receive the message, that's above your pay grade. What your work is for you to take what's inside of you, take the things you've learned, take the things that have affected you and helped you and transitioned you and changed your life, and give it to the people continually, consistently, over and over and over again. And I kid you not, consistency wins in the end. I don't care what anybody says. If you want to argue with a wall. Consistency wins in the end, because there will be that day where that one person who needed to hear your work hears it. And when they hear that thing that changes their life, they're going to go back and look at every other thing you've done. And when they look at every other thing you've done, if it's just as consistent because you've been committed regardless, that's where the traction begins. I can personally attest to this because lately with my podcast, I'm noticing that when I check my analytics, which I try not to do too often because it gets addictive, as I've said, I'm noticing that most of my views for the week are not actually the episode I just posted. People are going back. My introduction episode, which is the weakest episode I believe I personally have, is getting so many views every single week. Random episodes in the middle with catchy titles are getting views now, like 50, 60 episodes later, because I've been consistent. It doesn't matter where somebody finds you. You just need to continue to do what's your responsibility, which is continuing to ship the work and put it out there regardless, because your cause and getting this work out there is your most important task. And wherever it lands, that's out of your hands. And that's above your pay grade. So all you need to do is continue to put it out there. So just for a recap of the 3 ways to get yourself out of thievery, the first one is to heal. The second one is to start where you are. And the third one is to commit to being consistent to your cause regardless. So I hope that really helps you guys and that you take it seriously, because there are really people out here waiting for what you do, and you're holding on to it because you're scared. You don't need to be scared. If you make a mistake, the next time you'll learn from that mistake and you'll do better. There's no such thing as perfect. It doesn't exist. So just get your stuff out there and continue to learn as you go, because these people need it. You need it. You don't even know how much more you're going to have to give when you stop holding on to the things that you should have already given. You don't know how many more ideas are waiting to flow into you, but they can't because your mind is blocked with all the other ideas that you should have already put out there, but you're hoarding for whatever reason it is. It's not just a hindrance to the people who are meant to see your work, but it's also a hindrance to you, your creative process, and your ability to have things flow through you and out of you. I believe that creativity comes in whispers. And if your head is too loud because it's filled with all the things that you haven't completed, all the things you should have let go of that you're holding on to, the new whispers that are coming to your ear, you won't even be able to hear them. So it's bigger than you, but it's also has a lot to do with you. So yeah, I really hope that helps. And with that, the words to live by for this week are, if you're meant to do it, you're capable of doing it. And this is a reassurance, and one that I have tested throughout my life, because every single thing that I thought would destroy me never has. And when I take on a task that seems bigger than anything I've ever done, I somehow am able to carry the load, because if you're meant to do it, you'll be capable of doing it. So don't get so scared by the grandiosity of some of your gifts or some of the platforms that you're going to be put on, because if you're being called to those platforms, it's because you have the ability to step up to the plate. So take that as reassurance and confidence this week and ship your work. Put it out there, stop being a thief, and have a great week. I'll talk to you guys next Wednesday.